Greetings, Deathlord. It is I, Mr. Onyxus, standing proudly beside my unholy brethren who scoff at blue skulls and tomato men tier lists. You are the real MVPs. Today we're going to deep dive into the fabled Sand Lane Blightfall No Soul Reaper build you've probably heard partial explanations of. Anyone in their right mind would just tell you to play Rider, but you're a curious little guy, aren't you? Me too, buddy. Me too. Note that this is an early guide written mostly based on my own testing and analysis of PTR logs. There's a good chance this will require some updates later on, but this should give you something to chew on for a while we figure out if Sand Lane is a real deal or not. If Sand Lane ends up cooking, I'll provide an updated guide once more concrete information is available. This build pumps AoE damage, but it's largely reliant on combat uptime, enemies living through the duration of your Dark Transformation, and your ability to track many things at once while doing mechanics. You will also be punished for pressing non-damage buttons in DT windows, which can be a little rough. Starting off, here's a talent build you could consider. There are two principally interesting things to understand about Sand Lane. Your Scourge Strike will become Vampiric Strike during the following situations. 1. You have a 25% chance to turn your next Scourge Strike into Vampiric Strike when you spend Runic Power. 2. In Dark Transformation, your Scourge Strike becomes Vampiric Strike for the duration of the Dark Transformation. When you use Vampiric Strike, you gain a stack of Essence of the Blood Queen. You can have up to 7 stacks. Anytime you apply or overcap a stack, it resets Essence's 20-second duration. Each stack of Essence of the Blood Queen provides the following benefits: plus 0.2% mastery per stack, up to 1.4%, plus 1% haste per stack, up to 7%, increases the death coil damage by 3% per stack, up to 21 total, increases epidemic by 5% per stack, or 35% total. You gain Gift of the Sand Lane anytime Dark Transformation is active. Gift of the Sand Lane increases the effectiveness of your essences by 80%. This changes the 7-stack bonuses from this to this, significantly buffing our damage in this window. Blightfall becomes available when Dark Transformation is pressed and consumes 100% of surrounding plagues, immediately applying their damage equally to all enemies. Blightfall damage is maximized by having all enemies carrying all diseases at as high a duration as possible. Disease durations are increased by 3 seconds each time you cast either Putrefy or Vampiric Strike. Lastly, Blightfall grants a charge of Putrefy when used. You've got all that, right? Therefore, the philosophy is, generate and maintain 7 stacks of Essence, maximize the duration of diseases within the Gift of the Sand Lane window, and release that stocked up potential Blightfall damage and the following Putrefy within Dark Transformation. For our opener, we'll first press Outbreak to apply Virulent Plague and Dread Plague to all targets. If you don't press Outbreak, your first Putrefy will not add 3 seconds of disease duration or do its extra damage. Always press Outbreak as you approach a pack, ideally on as many targets as possible prior to going into your burst window. Now you're ready to Army, Trinket, Racial, Potion, and Dark Transformation. You'll spend a Runic Power Spender, either a Necrotic Coil if you're less than 5 targets, or a Graveyard at 5 targets or more, and that's going to hopefully give us a little bit more rune inventory. Next we'll Putrefy twice, immediately followed by both charges of Death and Decay if you have 3 or more targets. We're going to press Putrefy as charges become available, though if you would have a second charge of Putrefy within 1, maybe 2 globals, you can wait for 2 charges, otherwise spend on cooldown. Weave Vampiric Strikes with Runic Power Spenders to 7 Essence of the Blood Queen stacks. Try to avoid overcapping Runic Power. Avoiding overcapping on RP will help us to extend our Dark Transformation duration to its maximum value. Cast another Death and Decay when it comes off cooldown, and you anticipate it will grant you another Putrefy charge in this DT window. Blightfall at approximately 3 to 4 seconds remaining in Dark Transformation once you have no more Putrefy charges and all Runic Power is spent. You can Blightfall earlier if a number of mobs will die before this point. Immediately cast the Putrefy given to you by Blightfall. This benefits from still occurring within Commander of the Dead and Gift of the Sand Lane, as well as reapplies your Dread Plague. If you don't do this, you'll wonder why you aren't getting any Sudden Doom procs. If you've managed this well, you'll be able to cast one more Vampiric Strike within the Dark Transformation window, which will reset your 20-second Essence buff. As a note, if you've started this army window without any stacks, you'll be pretty compressed to press all these buttons and get your stacks to 7. Festering Strike may fall off at the very end. If this overlaps with your time to Blightfall, Putrefy, Vampiric Strike, refresh Festering Scythe immediately once this sequence is completed. For our in-between period, do not allow your essence stacks to drop. This is more important than literally anything else. If you manage that final Vampiric Strike, you should have around 18 seconds to refresh your essence. If you find yourself at 10 seconds remaining on essence and Dark Transformation is greater than 10 seconds away, you can fish for Vampiric Strike cast by spamming Runic Power Spenders. Note, it is very important to stand behind the enemy in general and especially for this Vampiric Strike cast, as a dodge or parry can easily cause your essence to drop, greatly reducing your damage and increasing your general frustration. Prioritize spending Sudden Doom procs as to not overcap on Sudden Doom charges. Your Rune versus Runic Power priority remains only pressing Death Coil or Epidemic if there's a Sudden Doom proc, or you can't press Scourge Strike, which happens more frequently than in Season 1 once you get rid of your old tier. This is a similar concept to fishing for Putrefy casts, since Scourge Strike reduces Putrefy cooldown. Overcapping Runic Power here is fine, and gives you some security in case you need to fish Runic Power for a Vampiric Strike proc. Refresh Festering Scythe at 0 runes or as close to 0 seconds remaining as possible. Generally press these back to back always. If you have 1 to 2 putrefied charges and are entering a pack with 3 or more targets, you may use D&D immediately before your next Dark Transformation, so long as it will not cause you to hit 3 stacks. For our middle Dark Transformation, if your essence stacks are at risk at all, Vampiric Strike is your top priority. Dump all putrefied charges, dump all available D&Ds on cooldown if there are 3 or more targets, and it will grant you putrefied charges. Exhaust all putrefies as they become available, following the same rules as before. Spend all Sudden Doom procs to prevent overcapping. Spam Vampiric Strike. Refresh Festering Scythe at 0 runes or as close to 0 remaining as possible. Generally always pressed Festering Strike and Festering Scythe back to back. Spend Runic Power when you can't press Vampiric Strike. Blightfall at approximately 3 to 4 seconds remaining in Dark Transformation without any Putrefy charges available. Immediately cast the Putrefy given to you by Blightfall. Get in 1 more Vampiric Strike if possible. When you get to your next army window, you'll repeat what you did in the opener. It's a little less congested if you don't have to rebuild stacks. You may have fewer runes than before, so be ready to press Runic Power Spenders to fill the gaps. If you enjoyed this video, you are cordially invited to like and subscribe. You may also follow me on Twitch or come by the Discord and say hey. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the comments below. And until next time, Oni out.